Hey guys, how's it going? It's Kyle here with another Exos Heroes video, and in today's video we're going to be breaking down the Holy Dragon Grounds. What we're going to be breaking down is why you should do it, the reward structure, also all the fight mechanics on how the encounter actually works, team comp ideas, and then lastly, a realistic expectation on what you should be shooting for to maximize rewards. So with that, let's get into it. First thing is going to be why. Why do we care about the Holy Dragon Grounds? And the reason is this is the way to farm faded weapons in this game. Like faded gear is through the challenges, faded weapons is through doing the Holy Dragon Grounds. So then the next thing is going to be what rewards can you expect from this? And so here is going to be the list. I just kind of made a quick little infographic talking about how it works. Based on the day of Dragon Grounds, you have 3 phases when it comes to the dragon. It's going to be phase 1 is going to be from 0 damage all the way to 26,800. Phase 2 is going to be 80,200. And then phase 3 is going to be, depending on if it's a Friday, Saturday, it's going to be 267,000 or it's going to be 314,000 if it's any other day where he actually has like Guardian Stones. So here's the rewards you can expect. It's not based on your damage per se. It's based on can you complete that phase. So for example, once you complete phase 1, then you're going to get roughly around 50. And then it's going to change a bit based on how much damage you do get. And then next is going to be phase 2, and then roughly in the 100 range. Whereas if you don't get to phase 2, it's always going to be in that 50 range. And then lastly, doesn't matter if you go from 80,201 all the way up to like 300 and 13,000 on normal days, or right up to 266,000. It doesn't matter. The rewards are going to be roughly in the 100 range. And then once you actually beat phase 3, that's when your rewards will get to like 212. So that's how it breaks down. I wanted to show that. This is something that I learned as I tried it a whole bunch. It doesn't really matter. The thing that matters is, can you hit the thresholds? Why I wanted to bring that up is because there's a whole bunch of potential effort saved until you can get to a realistic expectation on actually beating phase 3, so you're not wasting all this time. You can really maximize your time to spend, just get that 100-ish amount of relics for the day per attempt, and then just call it a day. And then when you get to a better place on your account with better gear, then you can start taking the time to really try to dial in a phase 3 team and get double the rewards. Now let's break down the mechanics of the fight. Okay, so there's going to be 2 separate groups here. There's going to be days where he has a Guardian Stone, and then there's going to be 2 days a week where he doesn't have a Guardian Stone, and then the mechanics are going to change based on that. So the first thing I'm going to do is talk about days where he does have a Guardian Stone, and that's going to be Sunday through Thursday. And then the other days, Friday and Saturday, are going to be the days where he does not have one. So the first thing going to be the one where he does have a Guardian Stone. What the major changes is going to be here. Let's show it, and then I'll kind of explain it. So like for example, we're on Monday. He has a Firestone here. So then he's going to, it's 10 Guardian Stones. Whenever like day that he has a Guardian Stone, it takes 10 to break him. So you're going to see 5, and then it's going to show another 5 after you do it. So don't think that's a bug or anything like that. It's because he has 10 Guardian Stones you need to break. And then when he's broken, based on the day, it's really important. And then that's just basic game mechanics, but it's really going to determine how much damage you do, because when he's broken on fire, every time you break someone, you do double damage. But on fire, you're going to crit. And then fire characters synergize with crit, giving them mana. So it's really important to keep that in mind based on the day. Also, Frost, for example, when you break him on Frost, is going to do double damage, and you're going to ignore defense. Nature, you're going to do percentage health damage. On Machine, he's going to stay broken longer. So that just keep that in mind when, like on whatever day you have, because that break effect, first thing is going to be it's 10 Guardian Stones. Second thing, it's going to really affect your team, and especially light and dark days, because it's the last Guardian Stone broken. So you might want to really consider changing your comp to, do I want to break him? Do I want to make sure consistently, do I want to break him with the Darkness Stone, or do I want to break him with the Light Stone? And that's going to really change on how the mechanic goes. I think it's really important to start with that, especially on this day. So the next, let's actually talk about his moves. So first thing is just going to be his Dragon Strike here, delivers a powerful blow to one enemy. Then he has Dragon Roar, which on phase 1, which is in the very beginning, all the way up to 26,000 damage, he's going to decrease the attack of all enemies with a powerful roar. And then on phase 2, he's going to decreases the attack of all enemies with a more powerful roar empowered by rage, and silence them for a certain amount of time by suppressing their mana. And then phase 3, he roars at enemies directly and damages all enemies, decreases their attack, and silences enemies for a certain amount of time by suppressing their mana. So as the fight goes, it gets harder. Next is going to be Raging Breath. This is the move that happens after every transition. So we saw that when you get him to 26,800, when you get him to 80,200, he's going to do this move. This is really important to keep in mind because it doesn't matter whatever the turn order is, he's going to, the second he hits that threshold, he will immediately do this move. And this move hits very hard. So then that's why there's a mechanic built into passives we'll get into that addresses this. This move, it spews out a Dragon's Breath that can't be blocked on all enemies when the phase changes. Teams with Head Dragon Knight or Dragon Hunter have a certain amount of resistance against Dragon Breaths. Dragon's Breaths will keep getting stronger. So this, not only is this move hit really hard, there's a move specifically in passives that reduce it by 50%. And then it keeps getting stronger. So, and then it also interrupts all turns. So you're really going to want to make sure you're going to want to time it to where you mean it. When I say time it, you mean this is all full auto. So it's like you want to have a team. Just keep in mind that how these mechanics work is you want to try to be fully topped up or, as healthy as possible or have like a defense up right when this transitions so you can actually survive. Next, we have Dragon Scale Order. This is where it comes into play about what day it is, because this changes based on if it's going to be Sunday through Thursday or if it's going to be Friday through Saturday. And Dragon Scale of Order is Dragons of Order possess skills with high defense, but are vulnerable to Dragon Knights who have fought alongside dragons, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so you need to make sure you have Dragon Scale of Order on your team to actually do damage to them on phase 2. A lot of people I notice go like, why are my runs 30 minutes long? Because they don't have a character like this. Or they were fine and then the day switched and then they don't have a Dragon Scale of Chaos character for Friday, Saturday. We'll get into that in a second. Then next is going to be Dragon's Dignity. This is a really important mechanic to understand, which is decreases the attack, defense, and health of all of heroes that are a different element. This effect grows stronger with each phase. At phase 3, the hero's attack increases with each round. The big thing to keep in mind here is that if your characters get significantly less survivable on days that they're the wrong affinity. So that's why I really think, Friday, Saturday is by far the easiest day. He has less health. He has, he's not nerfing your team, but it is important to note. And that's why you kind of want to bring in characters. It takes a lot of, a full wide roster to really min-max the dragon here, because he not only is he nerfing your characters, but really nerfing them. Like it's a really noticeable effect. I don't have like specific numbers, but it's pretty massive. Those are going to be the mechanics. The big changes when it comes to, Sunday through Thursday, and then Friday. The main thing for Friday, Saturday is going to be he does not have a Guardian Stone. He takes significantly less damage to actually finish him off from at the end of phase 3. So instead of 314,000, it's going to be that 267,000 needed to beat phase 3. And then also the main thing is he's not nerfing your characters, so you don't have to worry about your characters actually being weak, but you don't gain the benefit of being able to break his Guardian Stone. So it's kind of a trade-off there. Me personally, I think I would take that trade all day. The days where he has a Guardian Stone are significantly harder unless some of your main core characters are of the right affinity. So that's what I think people should really be focusing on first, is going to be trying to get a good team together and then really try to focus on beating phase 3 on Friday, Saturday. That's the day to beat if you're going to be beating it first. With that in mind, now that we know the mechanics, let's break down potential team comps and what kind of characters you're going to want for your roster. All right. So now let's talk about team comps. And then here's going to be the effective things that you're going to want in a team comp here. I think that before you can understand what makes a good team comp, you need to understand all the potential things to bring to a dragon team and what's actually effective. Then you can kind of go over and try to fine tune it based on your roster, based on what you've pulled and stuff like that. So here's all the potential things you can bring. First thing is going to be healer. I like to bring 2 to 3 healers in here. Big thing about healers is they're very slow. Their attack speed's incredibly slow, so you don't get many options. So you're going to want, whenever they actually do go, to be a really impactful move. That's why Kaya is the best in my opinion, because she is the only one with a high percentage heal that is on both of her moves. Whereas Anastasia is fantastic. She has like the biggest heal, but she like alternates between healing and damaging, which is frustrating, but she's still really good. And then there's Talia, Karen, and Lepin, or some other examples of other healers that are good, but not, I would say these two are pretty much in the class of their own when it comes to a healer. Mandatory mechanic when it comes, if you want to survive in the dragon, is going to be Head Dragon Knight, which is what it does is a 50% reduction on the Raging Breath move that happens at the transitions, like I was talking about. The characters examples of this are going to be like Bernadette, Magi, Emma, Talia, Mahar, all characters that have it. I think some of them are better than others. Like, for example, I really like Bernadette. If you pulled like the Ignite version of Magi, she can work too. Emma's a really good character because she's providing multiple ways of survivability with her 50% or 50% or 60% of her attack reduction to the dragon, plus having head Dragonite, so you can kind of get multiple ways of survivability there. There are a lot of options, but here's a couple examples of the head Dragonite passive. Very important. So then next is going to be Dragon Hunter Blessing. This is going to be a passive that's only available on 4 characters, these 4 here, and it's only required on Friday, Saturday, the day that he doesn't have the Guardian Stone. So you're going to want to bring one of these characters in. The reason why you bring them in is because on phase 2, so that's after 26,800 damage you've done, he does his big Dragon Breath thing. Hopefully you have a head Dragonite character that reduced that damage by 50%. You're still surviving. Now you're going to take one of these characters. This is going to be the character that actually does damage to phase 2 to push you to that 80,200 damage mark. And then the 4 of these, me personally, I really like FC Brooke. That's one I like. I have all the options here. I think Karina and Brooke are pretty much the top 2. Sharpay's okay. Diva is probably at the bottom for me. If you have FC Diva, I mean, that's fine. But I think in that order, like Karina, Brooke, Sharpay, Diva is kind of the way I look at them. I think they're all fine. But these are the only 4 in the game that have this passive. So you're kind of stuck using one of these on Friday or Saturday. Just to give you kind of like what I use, I really like Kai and Anastasia for the head Dragonite. I really like Bernadette. I think Bernadette, Emma, and Magi. And then the Dragon Hunter, I use Fake Core Brooke. So far, I'm going to try Karina because I really like her high percentage damage move. And then for next, we're going to be the Dragon Knight Blessing. There's actually a ton of characters that have this passive. I'm just giving a couple examples. A really popular one is going to be Bernadette. Magi is another one, Sabrina, Anastasia, a whole bunch more. I don't really consider the characters that are tanks, or like, for example, Anastasia is a character that really takes advantage of this passive because they just don't do enough damage, and a lot of times they're just really slow and barely get a go. You really want to have like a damage dealer like Bernadette go, and then it really does a lot of damage. If you just have a tank doing it, you're not going to notice. Like, they're going to hit like a noodle regardless. So you really want to make sure if you're bringing this passive, it needs to be someone that actually does damage. Kind of a cool thing about Dragon Hunter Blessing is you don't have to worry about that. All 4 of them are actually damage dealers, so you don't really have that issue on Friday, Saturday. But on other days, you're going to want to bring someone. Ideally, you're going to want to switch it out based on the type of day it is. Like, for example, Baelish on Sunday, Bernadette on Tuesday. You know, like Magi on Monday. Sabrina would be a good another one for Monday, so stuff like that. That's going to be one thing that you can flex. Also, there's just so many options on it that it's really easy to find someone that at least has it for you, regardless of the situation. And so next, here's kind of like a niche one, but I think really important to bring up, which is Barrier Will. And what Barrier Will does is it's a massive damage reduction move on a lot of tanks and stuff. So, the ones I have here are Fake Core characters. I believe it's available on other characters that are not Fake Core, but it's a really good passive that allows for extra survivability for the dragon. And what it does is when you take 70% or more damage in one shot, it's going to reduce that damage initially, and then you're going to get a couple turns of taking more damage. But the idea here is that the dragon can either like one shot, picks one person. A lot of times when he does his auto, it just pokes one person, or like they just happen to take a lot of damage at that one moment, but then it's going to rotate, and then you're going to not have to worry about the damage reduction because other people are going to go, and then the damage reduction falls off. So it's going to save them that one time, and then bad side effect doesn't really apply. So really, really impactful. I noticed it a ton on FC Brooke. I noticed that she's really survivable. FC Illum is really survivable. I only have normal Garf. FC Garf actually has Barrier Will, which would make him significantly better. But unfortunately, I don't have that. So I've noticed, like, for example, Illum survives with less gear. I have a Fake Core shared Garf without this, but then I have an FC Illum with this, and the Illum always survives way easier than Garf does. I mean, you could chalk it up to his other passives, but, it's just a really solid way of making sure people survive. And so then lastly, I didn't really have a good way of, or a good title for this, but it's like survivability, kind of like a healer, but not necessarily healing. The survivability, but they're not really healing. So for example, FC Ridley is a good example of this, where he's by far the best at this. He's a pretty big game changer when it comes to the dragon. But what he does is his move goes, and then he's giving health and he's giving defense up to the whole team, and then a shield to the person as well, with Garf synergy as well, to the lowest attack person on the thing. So he's not healing them. So what's really cool about these is that even if you're fully topped off, you still gain the effect of them. So that's a really nice way to make sure you're able to survive in the dragon. Also, a big thing too is that healers are so slow, like I was saying earlier. So these characters are able to help out the team without needing to take damage, and they're fast. Like Rudley is going to be one of your fastest characters on your team. Chadi is in like that kind of mid-range of attack speed. And what Chadi does is it says 40% heal or 40% shield to back row, but in the dragon, it's the entire team. And that's going to save you, especially if you have like a decently leveled up Chadi, for like one full move of the dragon, like that full AoE. Iris is another option here where she gives mana to everyone, and then also a 10% of her health, so you're really going to want to level her up. Another example is going to be FC Tantalo. He does something very similar. So these are going to be characters that you're going to want to take in mind, and I think these characters are just as important, if not more important, than having healers on the team because of attack speed in this game. And I really want to highlight stuff like this. And then Iris is someone that you can get on the account. Chadi is definitely way better. Rudley's by far the best. Me personally, I take two of them. So I take like Chadi and Rudley. I've tried Iris, other options. If I had FC Tantalo, I would give him a shot. You know, just try to work with what you got, but really having a way of being able to increase survivability without healing is just as important as having a healer on the team. And then also for this infographic, I just did this here for the Sunday. You know, all the days are based on the types. So for example, Monday's fire, Tuesday's frost, Wednesday's nature, Thursday's machine, and then Friday, Saturday don't have a type, so that's why it's in white there. So now that we know the mechanics we can bring and some examples of that, these are going to be the things you're going to want to have. And then also let me kind of show you some of the team comps I've built and apply those concepts. So you might not have these characters, but you can at least apply these concepts to progress in the dragon. Okay, so this is a very specific passive, but I think it really is important that I bring this up, and it's going to be the Ignite passives. And what I mean by Ignite passives is it's going to be these dragon scale, these new fake war characters that have come out. So right now we have Xeon, we have not Bernadette, we have Magi, Xeon, Baelish, and Anastasia. So if you have one of them, that's all you need. And how the passive works is it's the top four characters, the top four attack characters in your roster are going to be covered by this passive. So then this passive, what happens is then you're gaining the dragon skill to where what happens is then you're gaining defense constantly through this passive. So what happens is the dragon can't kill you, because if you remember back to what I was saying earlier about the mechanics of the dragon, the only time he actually scales an attack is going to be phase 3. So that's why you can get all the way through to 80,000 damage and then immediately die, a couple turns after, because that's when he's going to start to finally scale against you. So you're just stuck. So what happens, a lot of people don't understand the mechanics of the fight. So then now they take just 4 random characters, or they take 10 and then 4 randomly survive through the encounter. And then now they're doing barely any damage because they don't have all the correct passives. Like for example, if we go back here, they don't have here, where is it? So for example, they don't have a Dragon Hunter on Friday, Saturday. They don't have a Dragon Knight Blessing on all the other days. So then now they're on, once they get to phase 2, they'll never die, but they're going to take forever to kill them. So that's what's happening there. Point being is definitely take advantage of that, because it's a really easy and effective way to be able to beat the dragon, but be sure to bring in one of the correct characters based on the according day. So like, for example, if we go back here, make sure if it's like Monday, for example, you want to take someone with the correct passive. So you're going to want to make sure you take someone with Dragon Knight Blessing, so you're not stuck in there for 40 minutes. On Friday, Saturday, you're going to want to make sure you take someone like Brooke here, because Brooke here she has Dragon Hunter Blessing. So you want to make sure you take them so you're not stuck in there forever. And then, just doesn't matter who you take, you're just going to survive. So then you take 4 characters, run it through, and you're all good. I wanted to address that because if you have pulled any one of these 4 characters, it doesn't matter. So like, for example, you can have Xeon, you can have whoever you want in here. Anastasia is another one. The Baelish is one. It's going to allow you to survive. And then the cool thing about it is if we go back here to the rewards, then you're going to be able to break that phase 2 rewards very easily. So you got the character, and then you're going to be able to just run 4 characters really efficiently, get those rewards, don't have to worry about it. For people that don't have one of these characters, this is what this guide's for, mainly for you, because you're going to want to really take advantage of all the stuff you need to do to survive in this. And you're not going to be able to just cheese phase 1 and phase 2. You're going to need to make sure you have like a head dragonite. You're going to need to make sure you have survivability. So I wanted to address people that have one of these characters, because you got lucky. It's great. You'll be able to go past phase 2 relatively easily. So just want to address that really quick before we go into ideal team comps. Next, I think this infographic is going to be really useful for you guys on breaking down ideal team comps. I think this is a lot better than me just showing you my roster and what I choose. This covers it a lot better. This is made by, his name's right down there. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but he put his name on there. Wanted to give him a shout out because this is a really good list here. Very useful. Definitely going to be linking this in the description below so you guys can check that out. And so big shout out to him for making this list. Very helpful. So I just wanted to show this. And then next, what should you be shooting for? And I think the big thing you guys should be shooting for is going to be phase 2. I think beating phase 2 is going to be the best bang for your buck on rewards. Big thing is, like I was saying earlier about Ignite characters, if you have one, fantastic. You'll be able to handle this no problem. If not, then definitely it's going to take some fine tuning. It's going to take a wide roster of a lot of survivability to make sure you can actually last all the way up until phase 2. But I think it's a realistic goal to shoot for consistently every single day. It's going to be a really big boon to your rewards up until the point where you can actually beat phase 3. I think for most people, phase 3 is going to be out of the question for a long time. If you want to beat phase 3 as soon as possible, definitely focus all your attention on just making a really good team and on Friday, Saturday, because Friday, Saturday is so much easier. I mean, I was able to, no problems, easily able to beat it. But then on the other ones, the only other day I've been able to beat is going to be Nature Day. Whereas the other one, it's just so much harder comparatively than on the main days versus Friday, Saturday. So I think that's going to be the best, path for success is going to be make sure you can beat phase 2 on all days. And then phase 3 is going to be definitely Friday, Saturday. That's going to be the day to really focus on and try to beat. And what's cool about that is that there's, all you need is one of the Dragon Hunter passives, and then you're going to just want just really good characters. So you're just going to take all your best characters all the way up, and it won't matter because none of them are going to be nerfed based on the type. So I think it's a really good way to focus. And so you're not building characters based on a specific day of the week. You're building just really good characters, and then they're going to be at their max potential on Friday, Saturday. So with that, hopefully that was helpful. I know that there's a ton when it comes to the dragon. So if you have any other questions, be sure to catch me on streams. I stream on Twitch, Kart Mobile. Also, questions down below. I'll be sure to answer as many questions as possible. And you guys have a good one. Peace.